Year 5, Season 1, let's go! First of all, fair warning, I'm on the rum. I've not had rum in years. I'm a whiskey man personally, but I've not had rum in years. I'm on the rum. Anyway, I personally feel that we should congratulate and thank the dev team for fixing what was a major issue in very, very short amount of time. If you actually just look at the issue at hand, there was a huge save file error across all platforms, across all servers, and they fixed it in about 14 hours with, from what I have seen, literally no effect to my personal save game. However, this doesn't mean there aren't bugs / issues. I mean, we're playing Division, right? We know we're playing Division, surely. So, immediately the determined bug is back. Brilliant. Yeah, I'm already seeing streamers being like, oh yeah, they've reverted determined. They've put it back to how it should be. No, it's still bugged. If you read the talent, it literally says that the determined proc shouldn't reproc itself. If you really want to test it, look at the Prophet or the Relic with Perfect Determined, where weirdly it doesn't happen. It's just normal Determined that you can put on any weapon where the bug is actually happening. Perfect Determined works exactly as intended. So it hasn't been reverted, it hasn't been switched back. I'm aware of the patch notes before someone cries. It's a bug. Pure and simple, and there are many of them. I've spent my entire day getting melee'd by random hammer bros from the Outcasts that are literally facing the opposite direction to me and melee, I don't know, a fucking reindeer, and I randomly die from them. It's bizarre and annoying. I have had invisible enemies, which is beyond frustrating. Could not tell you how many times I've wanted to rage quit trying to level up this goddamn season because Sally, the walking invisible warhound with shot grenades, wants to sit next to me. Well, I don't know she wants to sit next to me, and just go nade, 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 nade. You get the picture. Nade, nade, nade. Maybe not quite. It's fucking annoying. But still, we're playing Division. We know with every title update, with every patch, quote unquote, they fix one thing and break two. However, it's perfectly fine because we're playing Division. Now, in terms of the manhunt, I will try my best not to spoil it. However, it is set up in a vastly different way, and I'm unsure if it's actually better or if it just feels better because it's different, like a weird sort of obnoxious placebo effect. It was fun, I did enjoy it. However, I don't know whether I enjoyed it for the actual content or if I enjoyed it because it was just new and shiny. With that in regard, it's kind of like a only time will kind of tell sort of thing, simply just because I've not really played enough of it at this point for my mind to be made up. I have completed the first part, saved the person or whatever, but it's not really something I would rant or rave about. I know a lot of people are going absolutely crazy about it, being like, oh my god, it's set out in such an amazing way and it's so different and so chef's kiss. And it's just like, it's still just a manhunt. It's still basically the same thing. It's just rather than killing a target, we're kind of rescuing one. Like, we're literally just playing it in reverse kind of thing, which is kind of a positive, but also it's kind of like a negative because original thinking. I don't know, rather than kill someone, how about we save someone? Insert slow clap here. Now, it's not like I have anything really against it. It was perfectly fine. It was perfectly doable. I did it with like heroic with 5 directives. It wasn't really that challenging. but in terms of overall story or content, it didn't feel as fulfilling as I would have hoped. I was genuinely hoping for a lot more, and it wasn't quite a letdown, but it wasn't this absolute mind-blowing thing that I was expecting at the same time. It was very much middle of the road. In terms of actual season progression, going through the levels, the new electric set is looking very promising and is potentially going to become almost the meta for a lot of CC as well as status builds. It is very, very promising. Further testing is obviously required. I'm still working my way through, but for the moment it does seem to be basically best in slot. Not because of the stats, because the stats are pretty much going to be the exact same as what you get from Golan. It's only going to become best in slot simply just because of the ease of farm that this set will allow you to have over Golan. Rather than looking for unicorns, you're just looking for basically any piece. Then we have the Cavalier set. Now, from what I'm able to determine, this set is currently bugged. It's meant to be 40% of all damage or 50% of skill damage. What we have at the moment is 50% of all damage, which from what I can determine is not what the devs actually intended. I don't actually know, so the set may very well be bugged in this very odd regard, so it might actually be more powerful than we originally thought. Now, I have a 2-piece bonus of 30% Hasbro and a 3-piece bonus of 30% skill repair. It's quite undecided of how this build should really work, especially when you take into the fact that essentially the 4-piece bonus gives you 40 or 50, depending on when the devs figure out what they're going to do with it, damage mitigation. So when you think damage mitigation, you should think, oh, well, the Hasbro kind of makes sense because it will help you stay alive. What's the repair skill going to do? How is that really going to help? So when you look at it from like a slightly obtuse angle, you're sort of like, well, I've got this repair skill, so maybe I could make a healer build out of it. Problem is, FI is kind of a thing, and when it comes to healers, okay, yeah, sure, it might not be as tanky or give damage mitigation to your teammates, but in terms of healing and buffing and overall capability, when it comes to healer builds, FI is absolute king. I will need to do some further testing with the whole regen side of things, but Foundry Bulwark is absolutely perfectly solid as a tanking setup, which then also begs the question, what really is the point of Cavalier? Maybe we could utilize it as a weird off-meta DPS set to help buff our team, but now it rolls with blue cores. It's a very weird set that can fit into so many areas, but at no point will it ever be like best in slot or meta. It is just very, very solidly useful in tanking, DPS, healing. Like, it's hard to argue with it because where it's literally going to provide so much damage mitigation for your entire team, not just you, your entire team, it's hard to argue with it because it is going to be very incredibly powerful. But it's only really going to be so much useful in the correct setups in the correct areas. One of the areas I'm seeing is going to be casual LFG raids for Iron Horse as the stagger tank. I know a lot of people are also thinking in sort of speedrun situations of where the second healer, because in speedruns you have 2 healers for Iron Horse, one running FI, one running the FI backpack with Empathic Resolve. Maybe we could get rid of the FI backpack build, run Emphatic Resolve with 4-piece Cavalier and something else entirely, I'm not quite sure yet, probably just be Alps, and we can get pretty decent-ish healing, but while also providing a team-wide damage mitigation. this is going to be a pretty viable option and something semi-interesting. I'm also quite interested to see how this set interacts with backfire. Does the damage mitigation also apply to the bleed ticks that you apply on yourself, therefore allowing you potentially to forego some hazard protection, just basically getting hit with the bleed proc but ignoring it because screw it, and from there just sort of just shooting your way through the enemy in the hopes of actually out DPSing them, because backfire is something that is perfectly capable of actually doing that. Now there is one thing that I have seen so far that I am just fundamentally disappointed with throughout, which is the new exotic holster. I have tried testing, I have tried poking, I have tried playing, I have tried throwing it at the wall. It's useless. It's literally Imperial Dynasty, which was already useless, but in order to activate it, you need to melee things. It's very, very, very short-sighted on the front of the developers. I'm aware they're trying to implement things that will be remotely useful or insightful in terms of PvP, but sort of going, hey, stop shooting each other and start punching each other is absolutely not the way to go. It really is a complete and utter bitter disappointment. On which, I'm not sure if anyone else has noticed, because they've kind of not been keeping it a secret, is just they would give themselves themes. Like in one of the previous updates, it was Spotter. So we're going to have perfect spotter, we're going to have flatline, we're going to get a new weapon with perfect flatline. That will be the theme, pulsing an enemy. Then we get overall utility as well as MMR, and we're given hotshot, determined, the relic, profit, ninja bite backpack. Now in this season the theme is shock, so everything revolves around shock, which is one of the most useless active status effects in the game. Now I'm not sure who exactly is coming up with these ideas, but they're pretty damn poor. And okay, yeah, you can have a bad idea, and as long as it's implemented into a game well, no one really cares, it will still function perfectly fine. But a bad idea implemented badly just reflects on you poorly, and your player base will absolutely let you know about it. On which point, new Cavalier set, looking pretty tasty and insightful. The new Electrique set, meant to be for SMGs, it's not going to be for SMGs, it's going to be for Eclipse. The new SMG, the named one, and the new named LMG with the Thunderstrike thing, 40% amped damage to enemies affected by electric, is already dead in the water, because things like Eyeless, who are able to proc their own talent, Ignited, or even Sadist, which you can use Ridge Raise Pride for to get around, but still, even without that, it's able to proc its own talent. Thunderstrike can't. And because of that, you're either going to have to start swapping weapons around, or auto-adjusting in the middle of a firefight, or relying on team orientation. None of those things are cohesive co-op gameplay, because no one cares. Now, the only thing really that actually stands out in this entire season as something that is absolutely beautifully well done is the new iteration of St. Elmo's, which is what I'm playing around with here. I've managed to get damage to targets out of cover on it through re-rolling it. I'm now trying to get the resources, etc., I need to optimize and get it maxed out. Now, St. Elmo's is looking to be one of the best in slot ARs. It's definitely up there with things like the Police M4 for the flatline builds, FAMAS for your average DPS build, Carbine 7 for your average handling build, as well as a few others. It's not going to be the categorical best in slot like a Regulus is, but but it is definitely, certainly up there. There are going to be ways you can outperform and outdamage a St. Elmo's quite easily. In fact, a FAMAS with Strain will do it perfectly fine, almost quite easily, in fact. But there are going to be certain situations and builds where St. Elmo's will actually be the best in slot AR, especially considering one of the changes, and it's not the change you're thinking of. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video on my breakdown and review kind of ish thing while drinking rum about the new season. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.